Hello, hello. I am Sinner, and I'm going to talk to you today about Chapter 9 of the Nicomachean Ethics, the grounds of friendship. Now, this one was in line with the last book and another one that I wasn't too jazzed about, but I got through it pretty quickly. And it's similar stuff. It's talking about what it means to be friends and the particular circumstances on which people become friends, people dissolve their friendships, and what type of man you would want to be your friend, and that sort of thing. And it goes into the other stuff about how a good man has good friends, and two good friends don't need each other for anything besides each other, and the difference between friendship and concord, whether it's better to love or to be a lover. Is self-love justifiable? And I'll talk about that because I found that interesting. Self-love, is it justifiable? It depends on what you mean. See, the way he phrases it is that self-love is only justifiable when it's not like a vain, self-pleasuring type of love, but rather the self-love that you would have if you're, um, let's say, a loving father or a loving authority figure, right? Or even a loving friend, but less so. I find it to be less so with friends. If you have a loving friend or father or whatever, they will want what's best for you, right? Obviously, they want what's best for you. So that's what it means to love yourself, right? If you love yourself in that way, that's probably the best thing you can do, right? That's like a really good type of self-love. But if you're to love yourself in the sense that you like have a big ego and you try and gratify your desires all the time, that's a bad love. You should absolutely not have that love. And that was something that I read it and I was like, I mean, he says it way more wordy, like, but I found that very true. One thing I realize as well, he talks about are friends necessary for happiness? And one thing I've realized about um, Aristotle, and it must be a Greek thing, because in our selfish culture today, we certainly don't have this. Aristotle talks about being like when you're in a state where you're rich, you're wealthy, everything is going good for you. He talks about it as it's almost like self-evident that you would want to give away the good things you have to people around you, right? It's almost like it's a pleasure that everyone, like this pleasure of charity, that people have an urge or a desire to give away like this. And you really don't see that in Western culture. I mean, within the family, you'll see it, right? Within, maybe your close friend circles, you'll see it, but no one really out here is charitable like that. No one has a desire to be charitable. And the reason I bring that up is because he says, are friends necessary for happiness? And he says yes, because one of the things that makes you happy is charity, giving things away. And I thought to myself, I kind of disagree. And I think it's a cultural thing. Because if you were to tell me, hey, man, you can live in a cabin in the woods by yourself and have, 1,000 acres that way and 1,000 acres that way, it's all yours. Be by yourself, live in the woods. Go once a week to the shops and grab your supplies or whatever. Be by yourself. I would be like, that sounds pretty good. I'd like that. I'd be a hermit in the woods. Hell yeah. All by myself. Hell yeah. I'd love that. But that's not what he says. He's like, that would suck. If you're happy, it's you want to share your happiness. Whereas I'm happy whenever I'm happy, a lot of the time, it's when I'm by myself. It's when I'm doing my own thing. It's when I'm hiking, when I'm camping. So I found that kind of interesting. It was one of the points. There's not a lot of points in Aristotle where I really disagree with him. I mean, in the politics, I disagree with the slavery stuff, but there's not a lot of the time when I disagree with him. And he talks about then, um, how many friends should you have? And he basically says as many as you can, um, as many as naturally you can. Not you shouldn't force it, but friends in good and bad fortune, and the value of friendship. And that's about it. And on the value of friendship, he says it's good. And he says it's good for the reasons that we have stated. And he talks about it as being a natural thing, friendship. He says humans are social creatures and friendship is natural to humans. So it's in our nature to be social, so we should be social. Why not? Now, he says it in a more sophisticated way, and he gives better proofs than the way I worded it. But yeah, overall, another chapter down, fairly interesting. And then one chapter to go, and then it's done. But that's all the thoughts I really have. I am Sinner, and thank you for listening.